Hello, my name is Beth McDonald Stone, and I'm an avid knitter and knitwear designer coming to you from Bermuda. It's gotten a bit cooler here, so it's lovely. We have the doors and windows open. We can enjoy the air circulation. That's really nice. Luna loves doors open so that she can just come and wander around. Closed doors are incredibly frustrating for her. She's asleep under the table. So we're finally kind of coming out of summer, and I'm excited about it. Really excited about it. Fall is, you know, the best knitting time, isn't it? Fall, winter. And fall also means Rhinebeck and all the fun knitting events. I know they're all over the world, but since I'm closest to the east coast of the United States, Rhinebeck and all of those fun satellite events are just so much fun. And the ones closest to me and the easiest to get to, and I just love it. So it's going to be pretty heavily focused on that today, Rhinebeck and the satellite events, because yay, I've got two designs coming out this week. This vest, and this cowl, designed for Cakepalooza. Cakepalooza is a satellite event. It happens on the Friday before Rhinebeck. Rhinebeck is usually the third weekend of October every year. So the actual New York Sheep and Wool is Saturday and Sunday, which is why do I do this to myself? 19th and 20th, I believe, of October. And Cakepalooza is the Friday before. So Friday what did I say, 18th? Anyways, so that's a great event. It's put on by Alyssa from Cake Wool. And Cake Wool is a wonderful yarn company. Does great colors. I highly recommend them. And she works with a lot of really other good friends and vendors and stuff like that to put on this really lovely sort of small event. It's very social. There is shopping. That's what, there too. But it is very social. I know that there's a lot of people that come, like Kimberly McAlinden comes and just to talk to people about her designs and about knitting, and I'll pretty much be doing the same. I'll be there to help. I'm going to help set up, and looking forward to meeting you. And I'm planning on wearing the vest, and I know Chelsea Luxe. So Christina from Chelsea Luxe has hand-dyed some lovely silk ribbons. This is not one of them. This is just a ribbon I had around the house. But I will be excited to switch one out for one of her lovely creations. And so that'll be my second festivity going to. I'll talk about the first one later. But so this is the Icing on the Cake vest and the Icing on the Cake cowl. And like I said, they're both knit with Cake Wool Company yarn. So the DK weight lovely yarn, which is called dough, and held double with the Mohair, which is called cream. So Cake Wool's dough and cream held together. There's a lot of test knitters that have used totally different yarns, some sort of heavy DK, light worsted weight on their own, so no Mohair. Some that are hand dyed, so you've got this kind of coloration going on, some exciting colors. Some that are more sort of one color. Some that are machine, sort of big factory dyed, so they're very uniform color wise, and it all looks so good. I can't tell you. So you have to go check out the all the amazing versions on Ravelry. The vest does have this folded collar so that you can thread the ribbon through, which is really fun. I do like to add a little something on the neck lines. I'm usually wearing bandanas or whatever, so this is sort of my way of dressing it up. It has an all over, and as does the cowl, an all over really simple cable pattern. So it has a great texture, as you can see. The sun is really behaving nicely. Although I think the sun is creating some lines on the screen, but I couldn't figure out how to get rid of them, so hopefully it's not too distracting. But what it is doing is it's really showing up the lovely texture, which I'm really pleased with. And the texture, of course, is supposed to be sort of the icing on the cake and the lovely formation there. One of my lovely viewers helped name these icing on the cake, and I'm so grateful because that's exactly what I was trying to get my head around. I was do I call it buttercream? Do I call it whatever? But yeah, icing on the cake vest and icing on the cake cowl. That's what they are. The cowl has another additional textured stitch here, which is a seed stitch, which just reminded me of a waffle stitch. It seems sort of bakery and a kind of to contain the icing on your cowl. So the cowl is, the idea for the cowl is for you to use just one skein of the DK, and if you have mohair too, carry it along. And then this is a multi-skein project, obviously. So between the two, you've got some really good options. Of what to knit. So those will go up on Ravelry. They'll be up on Ravelry now when this is live for you to see. And again, like always, I have a 20% discount for the first week of my patterns. No coupons required. And that ends on October 24th, midnight. So it's actually really 8 days. So that will be great. So midnight Atlantic Standard Time on the 24th. So yeah, I hope you love it. What else can I say about it? Just really easy to wear. And I'm really excited to take these to wear this week because I actually think it's going to be perfect. It doesn't look like it's going to be particularly cold in the New York upstate area temperature wise, and it actually looks dry too, which, fingers crossed. Last year was a bit rainy. Not that it really slowed anything down. We knitters, we're fine, right? An umbrella, a poncho, a raincoat, we can carry on. And we did last year. So yeah, so it looks like it's going to be quite warm, and I think I'm going to be really comfortable. I think I'm just going to wear this with a fun skirt and a denim shirt, and that's it. It is still warm here in Bermuda today, so I was trying to make a vest look good with a summer dress so that I wasn't standing here perspiring, which is never attractive. So it's a bit of a funny outfit, but it gives you the idea of what this looks like, and I'm really, really, really excited about it. And just back to the cables, it's a really simple construction. So it is top down, worked flat, till you get to the sleeves, I guess, and joined in the round. The cable is really simple. So super perfect for people who are just, trying to get into cable knitting, who aren't overly familiar or comfortable with cables. So, it's a great beginner cable project, either the cowl or the vest. So yeah, it's not difficult at all. You do have to pick up stitches around the neckline, but I find as long as it's not too dark, the yarn and the light, you can. It's a really important task to be able to pick up stitches and to really see your stitches and how it works. And I sort of do tell you how many, pick up 3, miss 1, that sort of thing. It's a great skill. It's really not hard. People get worried about it. I wouldn't get worried about it. I would keep working at it and not be deterred. The other thing that I think is really good is if there's in the pattern, there'll be a number of how many stitches to pick up. So when I was starting out, and even now I still do it, I isolate areas. So if, I don't remember numbers, but say if you're supposed to pick, let's say 200 stitches, I don't think that's even close to being right, but let's just say 200 stitches all the way around. Then, and if there's like a guideline, because of course the back, it's 1-to-1 because it's a straight line. So when you're picking up stitches, the reason why the designers will tell you to pick up, say, 3 out of every 4, it's because vertically your row gauge is less than your stitch gauge. So in order for it not to bunch up, and just, even like look at your gauge on any pattern, and you'll see, like, say the usual, say this, I don't have the pattern here, shoot. Oh, anyways, say the stitch gauge is 20 stitches and the row gauge is 24 stitches. So therefore you don't want to pick up every row because it's going to be too compact and it's going to ripple. So that's really the reason. And the great thing is say if your row gauge is right off of a pattern, and this is going to sound overwhelming, but it's so simple if you just don't get bogged down in the details. If your row gauge is off on any pattern where you have to pick up stitches, whether it's for like the sleeves, like, if you're doing something here or neckline or whatever, and if your row gauge is off and you've knit extra rows, don't stress over it. You might want to keep track of how many rows you've knit. But you can look at what your stitch gauges and your row gauges, and you just divide it, and it'll be sort of a ratio. And that's the number of the increments to pick up, if that makes sense. So again, if you've got 20 stitches for 4 inches and you've got 24 rows for 4 inches vertically, then again, it's sort of one out of every three. You just do the math back. And a rough math, like it doesn't have to be anywhere near exact. Like you can just sort of eyeball it too. That works well. But that's how the designers come up with the formulas for picking up. I do kind of find 3 out of every 4 is pretty much across the board, unless you've got some crazy wonky change between stitch and row gauge. That's a pretty good standard. I mean, the change in stitch and row gauge is like a really good example would be slip stitches or mosaic slip stitches, because of course they start to knit into each other, and so your row gauge, how can I do it? Your rows start to sort of sit like that between the stitches, so then it gets really compressed, and that's when it will get really bonkers. But if it's just stitches on stitches, they're just going to sit like that, and you can just pick up on the sides really easy. But that's the difference. So if you're picking up horizontally, and it's like it'll be into every stitch because you're creating stitches to be the same width as existing stitches, that's why it's 1-to-1. But if it's vertical or diagonal, you're going to have to do a little bit of math or a little bit of compensation for the row gauge being larger. The row gauge being smaller, the row gauge, the number of rows is larger, but they're shorter than your stitch gauge. And so you just have to compensate for that. Unless you want the ruffled look, which again, in another pattern that I've got coming out, I'm kind of rocking that because it gives sort of a fun ruffled sleeve, a short sleeve, 2.5, 3 inch sleeve, but it's ruffled and it's kind of pretty. That's intentional and that's great. Awesome. But if you want it to be flat, like I really wanted this to be flat, it's quite simple. The other thing that with this design, you've got an increase row here, so it's really obvious where you pick them up, because then you've kind of got a line here. That's probably the best side because the sun's hitting it perfectly. You've got a line here that'll show you where to pick it up, and it's all in an even row. Really, it's not something to get worried about. And I'm sorry if I guess that's my TED Talk for this week. Row gauge versus stitch gauge and picking up stitches. There you go. It's actually really quite simple. Don't get worried about it. But like I said, if you were to take, say this is 200 stitches and the back panel is 50, then what I would suggest people do is to, you'd have, that's not quite right. If the back panel is 100, then you'd have 50 on each side. And so you would put in removable markers on your knitting before you start to pick it up to say this should be 50, then from here to here it should be 100, and then just break it apart, break it down. You won't go too far off, it'll keep you contained, and I think that's a really great way, especially when you do the big button band that goes all the way up and around. I mean, break it off until it's sort of 50 stitch chunks or 35 stitch chunks, things that are manageable to count and to keep track of. And then you're not going to go totally way off and have to pull it all out again and start again. But if you have it in these sort of manageable chunks, like for a button band, then if you're 1 or 2 stitches off, I mean, who cares? I also then would use removable stitch markers, and then I sort of, if there's stitches that are very obviously close together, then I put a removable stitch marker around those 2 stitches so that when I do my first row, I know to knit those together. Then, your numbers work out. There's so many different ways, but it's not something you should spend like hours and hours and hours doing. Absolutely not this. This is a great starter one, picking up stitches. Great starter for cables, and the yarn is divine, so you can't go wrong. I hope you love it. So this is the Icing on the Cake vest, Icing on the Cake cowl, and that will be in Ravelry now, and I'm really excited to wear them both. So that was, gosh, I don't even plan these sort of tangents on the topic of the day, and I kind of glad I don't, because I'd hate to have to sort of try to prepare myself. If I prepared myself, they might be more concise, but you never know. I think that was okay. Hopefully that did help and make some sense and everything like that. And also worth when you're knitting other people's patterns, just like making a conscious effort to sort of look and see, trying to figure out, what was the method of their madness and stuff like that. And that will also help you understand more the sort of stitch gauge versus row gauge and picking up vertically versus horizontally. I think it's so much fun. Anyways, that's it for today on that one. So what have I finished? I finished Summer Lee's Colorwork Cuff Clubs. I mean, they're so much fun. It comes in, first day of every month. and I can't help myself. So it came in, and honestly, that same day I had these cast on. And I don't think I've ever knit socks so fast than her design. So these are super cute, little owls, ghosts. She knits them, I think, pale pink and I think a white and black for the eyes and the mouth. Adorable, really cute. Definitely look them out. I like to wear black shoes, so I kind of wear darker socks, and I thought that way you don't have to have a third color. 3-color knitting, it's not my favorite. I can totally do it, and I certainly did it here. And it was totally fine. It's not really that stressful, but I do find colorwork knitting in the round on something like a sock is maybe not my favorite at all. I have a tendency then to pull, and then I have a hard time getting this over my instep. So anyways, so by doing it 2 colors with the black and white, I think they're really usable for me, wearable, and they're really fun, and I really love them. So I've done both. Love it. They're going in my packing pile. I can't wait to wear them later this week. So much fun. So the Summerlee Cuff Club is really a great thing. Summerlee is so talented. I'm sure you all know her and are familiar with her designs. If you're not, definitely look into her and look into her podcast. She's great. She's super fun. She's really got a great style. Amazing with colors. Her color pairings are very, very fun and fresh. And she put out this year, I think it came out in August, a Colorwork Cuff Club. So for a flat rate, every month you get 1 or 2 cuff designs. So there was actually 2 in August. I believe there was 2 in September, and there was 2 in October. I knit the first 2 in August. Loved them both. September didn't jump out at me. I think I was really busy too, and there was a lot more colors, and I just couldn't kind of picture what I wanted to do. But October, really, I mean, like I said, I think by the end of the day I had it cast on. I couldn't resist. And the yarn I'm using here, sorry, just real quick, is just some, I have no idea what the white was. It was just some sock yarn that had a ball of, but the darker gray is Tanis Fiber Arts, I should say. The purple, let me just read it properly so I don't say it wrong. The purple label, Cashmere sock. It is spectacular, and color Deep Space. All these bits of information, like yarns and stuff like that, design names and stuff, are all linked below, or not linked below, are all listed below in the show notes. So everything should be down here. So Tanis Fiber Arts Cashmere sock. There is nothing bad to say about it. It just knit up so beautifully. It felt, on those lovely small needles, a really nice, plump, smooth yarn. It's just so pleasurable, just going around and around. I'm super tempted to cast on another sock using the remnants of this. But I'm struggling with getting through things, and I'll tell you why in a second. The other thing that I finished, so for a woolen affair, which I'm attending on Friday afternoon and volunteering on Friday evening for the party, Catherine put out a fun design of a cuff to wear and to bring to the thing. So I knit it. I thought it was really fun. I hadn't done you can see that the color work there's quite a lot of space between it, and I haven't done ladder back jacquard for a long time, so I thought it was a great opportunity to do that. It's hard to see. I did wash it and try to felt it a little bit just because I thought that would be prettier for this pattern. And I just used, I think, Holst Garden Super Soft, held double, and a bunch of scrappy colors that I have lying around. And I just thought that was so much fun. Ladder back jacquard is a technique where it's going to be hard to see on this just because it has kind of felted a bit. But I've done it here in this dark purple, where you create a row of stitches that aren't knit down into the face fabric. It's like a duplicate fabric that you're creating in the back, but they're linked together, so they sit beautifully, and you don't have the little blips, coming through on the front. It's a great technique. To me, it was sort of, when I do it, I kind of come along and I have this stitch that's the ladder back jacquard, and you kind of have to open a window. So you just want to make sure that your face, the yarns for the face fabric are worked in front of the jacquard stitches, is worked behind. It sounds confusing. It's so easy. It took me the longest time to figure out, and then all of a sudden it clicked, and I was like, what? There's nothing remotely complicated about it. But just like everything, you know, every sort of new technique, it takes a while to for it to settle in your brain and in your hands, and once you have, it's perfect. So laddered back jacquard, I was really happy to practice that again. I don't have anything in my mind that I'm going to probably be using it for in the near future, but I just I enjoy it. I find it really fun and satisfying, and a little cuff like that, I mean, this was done in no time, and I loved it, and it's fun to sort of felt a bit. I was tempted to throw it in the washing machine and really felt it, but I think this is a good size for now. So that's fun. So those are the two things that I've finished. What I'm working on, well, my husband's For Fox's Sake is basically done, save for the cuffs. So I'm meeting my friend, is coming over from London. We're going to hang out this week. Lucky me, she has a similar stash that I do in many ways, and I kind of knew that she probably would have had leftover. I think we bought our this Hillesvåg ask around the same time, so it's probably going to be very similar, but even if not, it's literally down to the cuffs. So even if the cuffs are just slightly different, it'll just look like shading. And I'm really excited, and that'll be perfect timing, because I think in, you know, a couple weeks or a month, Jeff will want to start wearing it, and I think it looked really good. So this was sort of a problematic sweater for me. Great design. There was nothing wrong with the design. I just decided to knit this sweater in my evening knitting after dinner, after, you know, a full day when I'm not really that awake, and I made a lot of mistakes. But I've fixed them all. One mistake was that I hadn't gotten the short row shaping in the back lined up here. So, and it was really noticeable on the video a couple weeks ago, so that was really funny. I think you all saw my face go, oh shoot, that's bad. Anyway, so I had to rip it back to the sleeve divide, rejiggle the positioning of the sleeves, and then knit the body. So the body's been knit twice. Sleeves been knit twice too, because I think Max and Vincent have bigger pipes than my husband. He's got slender arms like I do, and the volume on the sleeves from the original design was just too great for Jeff's comfort level. So I knit a sleeve, including the cuff, and then ripped it back and did it narrower, and realized, you know, probably best to leave the two sleeves sections if I had enough for the extra yarn. So yeah, so a lot's been knit twice, but it's been a real pleasure. It's a great design. Max's graphic designs, his characters are always so wonderful and unique and just full of personality, and I'm really excited about that, and I think Jeff is too. So we've just kind of been enjoying it. It's been sitting in the hallway over there. I like looking at it, and I'll enjoy looking at it on Jeff when it's done and cooler. So that's kind of hanging out and getting, you know, ready. The one thing that is really keeping me busy, and this is, okay, so spoiler alert, if you don't want to see, you know, click off now. It's the Stephen West Mystery Cowl Go Dynamo. I'm sure everyone's seen everything on the internet, social media and stuff, but if you don't want to see, just switch off for a few minutes. And yeah, so I've been working on this, and it takes a lot of time. I don't think I'm a particularly fast knitter, so while I get a lot of knitting done because I spend a lot of time knitting, this is really keeping me busy. So again, spoiler, it's going to come up on the screen now. This is my version. I'm 3/4 of the way through the last brioche, and then I've got one more of these bubbles here to work, and then I'm done clue 2. But it's fun. I'm sure you've heard from everyone else. You start with these 3 little mini shawls, mini circles, mini crescents here, and then join them together, and that's largely, and then the first bubble row is clue 1. Clue 2 are these lovely stripes, the 2 brioche and the second bubble. It's been really fun. It's really manageable. I'm really excited to where it's going. Oh, that's kind of a good, yeah, there you go. I have used Mohair in the brioche section, and I think it looks fine. I think it looks good. Feels amazing. At first I was a little bit concerned that I've taken away from the really graphic nature, but I'm happy now that it's settling in, and there, you know, the mohair is being repeated so that it's not a surprise to your eye. But it is wide. We're at a lot of stitches. I hope it doesn't get much wider. Curious about clue 3. I'm really not sure if I'm going to take this with me traveling, because it's a pattern that needs a lot of attention, and I don't think I'm going to have a lot of time with attention. So I don't know whether to take this with me or not. I'm on the fence about that. And it's funny, that really it's one of those things, I know we all talk about, you know, what are you going to pack for knitting? And that really just kind of almost stresses me out. So I don't know, you know, I don't want to get behind, but I'm going to get behind because I'm not going to be able to knit a lot and pay attention a lot. And it's probably better if I do leave it here, because I could see myself making major mistakes. But at the same time, I'd love to have it. It's really fun. I don't know. So any input there, but we'll see. I think I almost need sort of some simple projects, but anyways. So I'm knitting this out of Opus from Walcott yarn. Okay, I'm really bad at directions when I'm looking in the camera or on the screen. So yeah, Walcott yarn's Opus. It's a lovely merino mixed with alpaca. So there's great drape. It's really soft. It's really perfect for shawls. I know it's perfect for garments too. I had bought these. I had bought 2 of each last year at Wool and Folk with the intention of doing like a stripy sweater. But I'm really excited for this, and this is really perfect. In fact, it's making me think I'd like to pick up some more of the Walcott yarn Opus for another shawl that I designed a couple of years ago, and I'd like to reknit it because it's really pretty. And this would be so spectacular. I'll have to go check that out. The Mohair Dare is just, it's leftover cake wool, color Dogtooth, and the Mohair, which Alyssa calls cream. And so those are sort of my 3 colors. Yeah. I'm enjoying that. I can't wait to get back and do a few more rows today, because it's also just so, again, smooth and gentle in my hands and soft, and brioche is really rhythmic. Brioche really feels good doing. Yeah, I like repetitive rhythmic things. So the cables here, endless stockinette, it does make me very happy. Something that I'm knitting, the last thing that I'm knitting, and it's not totally rhythmic. It's not rhythmic, but I'm knitting the vest that I showed you all, a design of mine. I'm knitting it in a smaller size because the smaller sizes from the first set is going to create a smaller neckline. So there's going to be sort of, in the pattern, you won't probably even notice it, but you'll see 2 different charts, and your size will direct you to whatever chart you're working with. But I just felt that the smaller sizes needed this center panel to be proportionally smaller and the neckline to be smaller to be more in keeping with the fit. This looks really tiny because of course it is cable and a lot of ribbing, so it's gonna block really out. I'm enjoying this. See, this would actually be easier to take with me traveling because very simple cable motif, very easy to track, and it's 1 ball. It's more compact than the Stephen West shawl, for sure. But yeah, I'm really loving it. The other thing, if I could get the neckline done before I go, because that's the one thing that I really want to write down instructions for line by line. So if I can get that done, then this would be a great thing to take with me, and I could probably very easily finish it traveling. So this, I think, is the smarter thing to take, but the Stephen West shawl is the fun thing to take. So maybe I'll take both, but that's just a lot going on. Jeff decided he needed to make a sandwich here in the kitchen, and then someone else arrived. So we'll just keep on trying. Anyways, this is a vest that I've knit before. Like I said, it's a design, so this is my second just version, nailing down the sizing. for and the neckline and everything like that for the smaller group of sizes. I'm loving knitting it. The first version I knit, I was using a very different yarn, Pasquale Charas, which is a cashmere sort of multi-ply, very plump, very round, very springy, very elastic yarn. That was amazing and really easy on the hands and made the cables super, super fun to knit. This is Harrisville Nightshades, a total favorite yarn of mine, in the dashboard color, which has got the sort of blue undertones. And it's a worsted spun yarn, and it almost feels a bit felted. So the cables look amazing. I'm really pleased, but I do find my hands get really tired. So, which is also why I don't want this to be my only project that I travel with. I find that I have a limited sort of span, and then I need to take a break. But I will be so busy. But just for the airplane, I'm not sure if I could do, maybe I could, the two plus hours and in the terminal. But it's a great yarn. I think it's coming up, the cables are coming up absolutely beautifully. And you can see here, I just hold my cable needle. I usually do all the small cables, these smaller ones here, just without a cable needle, but these ones in the center are 3/3. And well, I think I could do it without a cable needle. I just like the security of it. So that's coming along really nicely. If I can get the neckline done before I go, then I can just really work on this while I'm away and probably finish it. Or finish it and just do the sleeve pickup stitches when I come back. I've also tried not to take too many needles, especially just for basically a long weekend. So that's my deliberations there. So lots going on, lots of great designs. I've got a couple other designs basically almost at 99% formulation in my brain. I won't cast those on until I come back, and then hopefully have something off my needle so that I'm making room for it, because like I said, the Go Dynamo really does take a lot of time every day. Yeah, and I think I've pretty much gone through the Rhinebeck weekend. I fly up on Bermuda Air, which lands in Westchester, which is just north of New York City. I have a really dear friend and her family that live in Connecticut, so I'll go and spend the night with them. They used to live here in Bermuda, so it's a great way of just catching up with them. And then from there on Thursday, I'll hop in a rental car and drive to Mount Kisco, where Pick Up Every Stitch has a really great event. This will be the second year. I went to the first year last year, which is called, On the Road to Rhinebeck. And that's really fun. I'll meet up with some of my friends there, the Knitting Posse, Needles at the Ready, and all of that. And hopefully some other friends too are coming. I'm pretty sure they are. I think Noelle and Kelly are coming from the Knit Cafe, Tuesday Night Knit Cafe. Anyways, I think it's going to be really fun and a really great intro to the main event. So that'll be Thursday. Friday, like I said, is Cakepalooza till the mid-afternoon, and then Wool and Affair through the evening, volunteering at both. And then Saturday and Sunday are Rhinebeck proper. And, Jeff's coming in. Is Jeff going to say hi? Yeah, so Saturday and Sunday, Rhinebeck proper, and I'm really looking forward to that. And flying home Sunday night. So if you're going to Rhinebeck or any of the events, do say hi. Love to see you. And safe travels. See you then. And if not, I look forward to recapping it all with you in a couple weeks. And I'll have some videos and clips and stuff like that I can tell you more. But I think it's time for lunch. Lunch is happening in the kitchen, so it's time for you to wrap up. And I'll chat with you soon. Okay, bye.